Hello. Today we're going to talk about report essays. This will be the first research essay that you will be doing for my English 101 class. So what is a report essay? Well, just like it sounds, you will be reporting information. In an academic sense, this is something that you may see called an informative essay or an expository essay. But in its very basic core, you are reporting information, either explaining, describing, educating. Um, Usually it will center around a singular topic, especially at this level where you only have 4 to 5 pages to do your writing. You want to keep the topic small. And as this is our first research essay, you will be providing sources for your information. So let's talk about what a essay is not. It is not a narrative, so you're not telling a story. It's not like an exploratory essay, which we wrote before. It's not an argument, so you're not taking a stance and you are not writing from the standpoint of your opinions or reflecting how you feel about the topic. This is written in a very neutral way in that you're just giving the information backed up with your research sources. And there's several different formats or forms that an expository or report essay can take. First can be a description, a listing an order of events, comparing and contrasting, cause and effect, and problem and solution. So the first form, which is a description, just like it sounds, you're providing a description about your topic. So as you can see from some of my examples, this could be the rules of your favorite sport. It can be the life of somebody that you are interested in. And this could be a historical figure, it could be a current figure, but again, it has to be something where you can provide research, or you can describe how something works. Like I have this example, how service dogs help the disabled. So the next form that it could take could be the listing of order of events. So this could be something historic. It could be how to accomplish something or what to expect at different stages of something that you're accomplishing. So I have examples of like the events of 9/11, how to become a physical therapist, steps on how to retrain an aggressive dog. The only thing you want to keep in mind if you pick something like this, it does have to be something that you can provide research sources for. The next format, compare and contrast, is taking two things, they should be somewhat closely related, and then comparing and contrasting the differences. So the examples I have, adopting a puppy versus an adult dog, or what is involved in becoming a physical therapist versus a personal trainer, or comparing different types of service dogs, emotional support, disease detection versus a guide dog, and what the differences are in those three things. Again, it should be something that you are able to do research on, and you also want to pick things, like I said, that are closely related. So I'm not going to pick something like adopting a puppy versus a water buffalo, or being a physical therapist versus a race car driver. Those things are too far apart to really work in this type of essay. You want to pick things that actually make sense that they would go together. Another format, cause and effect. This would be explaining your topic and how it impacts our world in some way. And it can be, our immediate surroundings, it can be the world at large. So the examples I have is how expanded use of emotional support dogs has allowed people with certain medical or mental disabilities to live better lives, or how the lack of affordable mental health care has had the effect of increasing homelessness. And I might even narrow it further to a certain time frame, like in this case I have during the pandemic. Again, this is not a very long paper, so you want to pick topics that are very manageable and that you can explain within 4 to 5 pages and that you can find research sources for. All right, so for the last format you can take, which is a problem solution format, this is where you take a problem, explain why it is a problem, and then explain a research solution. So in my examples, I have the problem of PTSD among military vets, and then the solution of support dogs and how training more of them can actually help with this increasing problem. The next one I have is, unfortunately, this is actually true, Kentucky leads the nation in stray and abandoned dogs. So that's the problem. The solution can be that other states have implemented education to the general public and then low-cost spay and neuter programs, and this has helped those states reduce their numbers of stray and abandoned dogs, so this is something that could work in Kentucky. Another example, how providing safe housing to the homeless in some areas has actually helped them get out of the cycle of homelessness. And again, this has to be something that you can research and give information about um, without taking sides or without presenting opinion. So when you're trying to pick a topic for this type of writing, you want to make sure that one, it's a strong topic and that you have the ability to do research on it and that you have it's able to be narrowed down so that it can fit into a short essay. You don't want very broad general topics. You want something that you can easily manage, especially for this first research essay. So some examples of bad topics, um, going into the medical field. Obviously, that is much too broad. There is way too much information out there, and it would be very hard to fit that into a 4 to 5 page paper. A better one would be a career outlook for physical therapists as the elderly population grows. That's something much more specific. It's related to a very particular segment of society, meaning, physical therapists for the elderly. That makes it much more manageable and easier to stay on topic when you're writing. Another bad example is lack of affordable housing has led to an increase in homelessness. I know that sounds very obvious, but that has been a topic that has been presented to me. A better way to approach that is to ask, why has there been a rise of homelessness in the last decade? Again, makes it much more specific and manageable. Something that's very specific to you, however, may not work. So, like how you picked out a puppy or how you accomplished something, that is going to be too specific to you, and it's really hard to research something that is um, it's very relative to your own experience. You can, however, talk about the studied effects of pets on blood pressure. Another bad example would be to say something that's very opinionated, like everyone should be a vegan. However, you can just cover what the benefits of veganism can be and present the research and all of the facts, and then the reader does their own, comes to their own conclusion based on that. Now let's go over some of the elements of expository writing. After you have picked your topic, then you need to make sure that you have a strong thesis, meaning that it could change as you begin to write, but you know exactly where you want to go with this paper. I like to refer to your thesis as a roadmap that guides you as you're writing and also guides the reader, that lets them know what will be covered within your writing. So here's again some examples of bad and good theses. A bad one would be dogs help people with stress. Again, that's too broad, too general. It's not specific enough. A better one would be the rise of emotional support dogs has increased the independence of people with anxiety disorders and PTSD. Another one that's not very good, homeless people need a place to live. Again, that's extremely obvious and not at all telling the audience or your reader anything they don't already know. A better one would be chronic homelessness has decreased in states that have programs that provide permanent living conditions to their homeless population. That is something that's a lot more manageable. It gives the reader a better idea of what you will be talking about. And again, this is something that's very easy to research and to explain to your audience. Another crucial element that you want to focus on is to have clear organization. So you want to make sure that you introduce your topic well, you have that strong thesis, that your following body paragraphs has a strong topic sentence that is related to what your thesis is covering, that your supporting points are presented in a logical order, and that you have a source to back those points up. And then you have your conclusion that circles back to the thesis and ties it all together. And we're going to talk a little bit more about organization and how to do this in another lesson. But this is something that as you are sitting down to write, you want to think about, am I putting everything in a logical order? Does it make sense as I'm reading it? Is everything that I'm putting into this essay relevant to my thesis, or is there some information that is just extra that can be taken out so that my essay actually reads smoothly and makes sense? Okay, another element is a formal tone. This is an academic paper. It is a research paper, so you want to make sure that you're using college level writing and that you're using the right tone, so to speak, or the right voice, as you might hear it sometimes spoken of. In this case, you want to make sure that you are writing in the third person, meaning that you are not using words like I, or statements like I think, I love, I feel, I believe. Everything that I am reading that is coming from you, I know this is your point of view or your interest or your voice. I don't need you to tell me, or the audience doesn't need you to tell them that this is coming from your brain, so to speak. We already know that. This is redundant. You also don't want to have slang, things like gonna, wanna, and so on. And in academic writing, you want to avoid contractions. This is not something that is as strong a rule as it used to be, but it's a good rule of thumb that if you catch a contraction in your writing, to go ahead and spell it out. Your next element to focus on is your research sources. Hopefully at this point you've gone through the library tutorial about how to do research, how to do credible research. You want to make sure that the sources that you use are relevant and current. Um, Again, the currency can be relevant to the topic. Obviously, if you're writing about a period in history, older sources may be just as relevant as newer ones. However, if you're writing about something that is extremely current, like COVID-19, which is something that changes from day to day, You want to make sure that you are using the most current sources and that you are fact checking them or making sure they do come from credible sources. Another rule of thumb is to make sure you're not using Wikipedia. You can use Wikipedia as an entry point to get information that you need in order to, solidify your topic or perhaps educate yourself a little bit more. Wikipedia does have an entire list of sources that it uses at the bottom of the page, and you are more than welcome to go to those sources and use those sources. However, you don't want to use Wikipedia itself as your main source. You also want to make sure that each source you use is not redundant, meaning that it should give new information on whatever your topic is. So let's say I'm writing about service dogs. Every article or research source that I look up should have something new to offer on the topic of service dogs. If I just have 3 sources that tell me all the exact same thing, then I'm not really doing my research. And you want to make sure that you're utilizing those sources correctly, meaning you don't want to just copy and paste entire chunks into your essay. You want to use just enough to prove your point, and then you explain how that source works with your information. But you don't want to use too much or too little of your source in your essay. All right, so to recap our report essay, this is an essay where you're reporting facts about a topic, and it's just the facts, meaning that you're not going to give your opinion or take a stance on that particular topic. These should be researched, relevant facts that are arranged in a logical order with a academic college level formal tone. So now that we've talked about what a report essay is, usually the first question a student has, what should I write about? The answer to that is anything you enjoy or that you're excited about that will actually be interesting to you when you start doing research. So this could be your favorite hobby. It could be some place that you enjoy visiting, maybe a vacation spot, or some place that you're from that you miss. I've had students write about their hometowns that maybe are not in Kentucky. You can, again, do 2 careers that you've enjoyed. You can do 2 places that you've enjoyed. You can do 2 sports teams and how they are similar or different. Historic event, I've had students write about 9/11. I've had students write about the fall of the Ottoman Empire because that was something that interested them. You can pick somebody that you're interested in. It can be your favorite musical artist, actor, sports figure. Again, sky is the limit. It just depends on what you are interested in. And then you can write, if there's a social issue that you are very passionate or interested about, you can write about how it can be improved or how it came about. And you can also combine some of these together. Let's say you want to write problem, solution, and cause and effect. Say you have a social issue and you want to write how it came about, how it can be improved. As long as it fits within the space of this essay, whatever you come up with is totally okay. A lot of students worry that whatever they pick is going to be too weird or too taboo or what have you. I encourage you to pick something that you really enjoy. If you're really not sure, send me an email and say, hey, can I write about this? Most likely, my answer is going to be yes. And I will help you if you need help with figuring out how to find information on it. It really just is up to you to come up with the topic and to do the work, and above all, ask for help if you need it. My next lesson will be covering how to write a thesis and how to organize your essay. And then after that, we're going to talk more about research and how to cite your sources.